hello, and welcome to the Burt Locker. This one is my recap of UFC 305, Du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya. Now, I said I was going to start getting these out more regularly again, and I'm true to my word. This is a little late, though. I'll concede that UFC 305 happened, it wasn't the last event, was it? So I can only apologise for that. I've been at the Long Road Festival. Shout out Long Road Festival. Absolutely top class festival that was. Best music festival I've ever been to. Acts I thought were fantastic. Dan Davidson Band, Adeem the Artist, and Pokey Lafarge. Check them out. If you like country music, check those guys out. They were really, really, really brilliant. I do wish I was back at the Long Road right now. Getting back to work today was not the one. And then just hearing on the news about how Anglian Bloody Water have said they're going to have to hike up prices by 60% because they can't possibly turn a profit if they don't do that. How do you mess up selling water? I want to know. You got given a license to basically sell people their drinking water that they have to have. You have to have it. How do you mess that up? I want to know. I do. Anyone that's smarter than me, explain to me how they messed that up. Good God. Because now all that's going to happen is the taxpayer's going to have to foot the bill, aren't they? The person that messed it up, the guy that messed it up, I guarantee they won't be fired. Anybody else, like you or me, anybody messed up a business in that kind of criminal way. It's the same with the bankers, isn't it? Like if any of us messed up that badly in our work, in our jobs, we would be fired on the spot. What's going to happen here? I guarantee you, whoever it is that's responsible for messing up Anglian Water is going to walk away with a fat bonus check, couple of mil, more money than I'll probably earn in my lifetime. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. What a bizarre world we live in. I've really gotten off topic. I wanted to talk about UFC 305, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So stick with me. I promise I don't rant as much as that normally. Sometimes, unless you like the rant, in which case I rant all the time. Pick whichever one you want, and like and subscribe accordingly. Thanks. Now, on with the recap of UFC 305. So the biggest takeaway from UFC 305, I just want to talk about the main event, really, because it was just such a brilliant example of seeing how good DRICUS du Plessis is. I have been saying, since he was in the African leagues, actually, I had my eye on him. I knew he was coming to the UFC, and I've actually been on the hype train for a long time, which is why I'm such a big fan of his, because every time he wins, he makes me look smarter than I really am, because it's all a guessing game in reality, isn't it? But I just thought that he's so extraordinarily well-rounded. And what I mean by that is that, look, he wasn't necessarily beating Adesanya on the feet. There were a lot of people, he was saying that he thought he was winning the fight on the feet, and people are saying, oh, you're out of your mind. I don't think, both things can be untrue. I think that the reason he won was because of the work he did on the feet, but I don't think he was winning the fight on the feet. Now, I'll explain what I mean by that, because I know that sounds absolutely backwards, and I'm sure you're commenting right now. If you are, stay with me. He wasn't winning on points by standing with Adesanya. I do think he was more than likely behind on the scorecards, depending on how they scored the takedowns. However, it was because he was landing a lot. And I don't think he gets credit for the awkward style that he uses. He's able to actually land on people. I mean, Sean Strickland is notoriously hard to hit, and du Plessis hit him at will whenever he wanted to do it. And he was clipping Adesanya. It wasn't the prettiest of striking, and he wasn't getting the volume. But every time he hit Adesanya moved backwards because he hit him really hard. Adesanya was not really hitting du Plessis with anything that he wasn't eating. And he's got a physicality that people find it difficult to deal with. And that was what Adesanya ultimately found very difficult to deal with. The power and the physicality of DRICUS du Plessis is really, it's criminally underrated, I think, because he goes into all these fights as an underdog. I think he was an underdog in this one. He was an underdog against Robert Whittaker. I think it was a pick'em against Sean Strickland. But people seem to think that, I don't know, going into the fights, I always see people kind of really discrediting what du Plessis is able to do. They say that he gasses. That's not true. He looks like he's tired, but he keeps on going. He's got an awkward style and that makes him difficult to read. It makes him difficult to prepare for. And it's that his biggest weapon is that he doesn't just have a plan A. He has a plan B, he has a plan C, he has a plan D. And because of that, and it's the way he can transition from plan A to B to C to D. He's like a brilliant NFL quarterback. The best NFL quarterbacks are the ones who have the second, third, fourth read, because then if something's not going quite right, they still make the play. That, in a nutshell, is why Duplessis is so good. He's so high level at going through the plans. This isn't working, I'll go here. This isn't working, I'll go here. This is working, I'll go here to here. He's got a brilliant fight IQ. And I don't think that's something that gets mentioned nearly enough. And that's what ultimately won him this fight against Adesanya. Adesanya, I think, was the superior kickboxer. And I think that was showing on the feet. But that doesn't matter, because Duplessis was able to hit him enough to implement his plan B, plan C, because he clocked him with a big hook against the fence. You see it, he was battering. He really had Adesanya stunned. Adesanya was pointing down to the mat, but I don't think he knew what the hell he was doing, because he was rocked. And then he clipped him again and smacked his head against the cage, and that was a hard hit. Then he just grabs hold of him, takes him down, and it's rare that you see somebody get the choke with the Gable grip like that, and it was just brute force. It was brute force. Gable grip, pull it, and honestly, you could see the look on Adesanya's face when he released him after he tapped. He was just like, I had no idea someone could squeeze that hard, because I don't think that people understand how strong that dude is. He is an absolute unit. And yeah, great performance by Duplessis. It was lovely to see, after all the trash talk, there was a lot of back and forth about the real African champion, the first African champion. It was all getting a little bit nasty in places, but it was lovely to see them bury the hatchet. I really enjoyed seeing Duplessis kind of approach Adesanya's parents at the end of it, basically saying he meant no disrespect by any of it. It's all pageantry leading up to the fight, and it does work, and I do enjoy it for one, because the UFC it's a show. It's entertainment first and foremost before it's a sport. I always say that. And so, what's next for Duplessis? Duplessis, that people were mentioning Alex Pereira. Now, that's a fight that interests me. It really does. And Duplessis said, look, I will go up to light heavyweight and I will fight Pereira up there. And honestly, I think that is the smartest play. It really is. Because, who else is he going to fight in the middleweight division, realistically? He's beaten Adesanya, he's beaten Whittaker recently. Nisruddin Imavov, maybe, but that's not a huge name fight. Xiao Bialho, he looked pretty good against Cannonier, but not like a world beater. He had problems with Cannonier. Paulo Costa, Brendan Allen. There's a lot of playing out to be done at middleweight right now. This might be the perfect time for him to go up to light heavyweight and challenge Pereira for that second belt, because things have to play out. Presuming Pereira keeps that belt, that is by no means a guarantee, which is a brilliant segue into what I wanted to talk about next, with Pereira against Khalil Roundtree. People are saying that's not the fight to make. I disagree. Stylistically, it is the fight to make. It's a brilliant fight. People are forgetting what Roundtree did to Robertson, Dorcas, Anthony Smith. He decimated those guys, and he did it with some of the most vicious Muay Thai kickboxing you will ever see in your life. Now, Alex Pereira is an elite level kickboxer, but I'm just saying, look, you can't count Roundtree out of that fight. And stylistically, it's way more fun than putting Misery Guts Ankalaev in there. Oh, Misery Guts, whinge bag, Ankalaev, I beat Jan Blachowicz, it wasn't a draw, I should have the title shot, I should get this, I should get that. It's bollocks. I used to really like Ankalaev because he's so skilled and he's very impressive. Don't get me wrong, he's so impressive. But he's also, he's a charisma black hole, and all he does is bloody whinge all the time. Rather than taking fights and being emphatic and get emphatic wins. He'd rather whinge and cry and complain about how he's not being treated correctly. It's like, just go out and make yourself undeniable, mate. Bottom line is, you like in an interview I saw he said, I was offered the fight at UFC 300, but I had to turn it down because I was in Ramadan. Well, here's the thing. Like, I know that Ramadan is a very important religious thing. I do get that. However, there are exceptions to it. Like, if you're pregnant, they're not going to expect you. Like, Joey, there's no religion that requires pregnant women to go without food and water all day. If it's detrimental to your health, I know for a fact that you can kind of take a time out of Ramadan. And if it's for the light heavyweight title and you're the challenger, you don't dictate when or where the fight takes place. Because Ankalaev has also said that he will only fight for the title in Abu Dhabi. Well, it's a shame that you're the challenger then, isn't it? Because you don't dictate that. You don't. Like, you are by no means exciting enough or a big enough name to demand where the fight takes place or when. That is up to Alex Pereira, and you've been offered the fight once and you've turned it down. So now you've got to take another fight and hope that you win it. And I kind of hope that he does annoy me. Obviously, phenomenal fighter, not taking that away from him. And I would never say any of this stuff to his face because, he seems mentally unstable to me. Like, some of the stuff that he comes out with is weird. But yeah, in a nutshell, very excited for Pereira against Roundtree. I don't think it's a foregone. Like, people are kind of really dismissing Khalil Roundtree in that one. Look, this fight's gonna mostly be a stand-up fight. In a stand-up fight, let's be fair, it's a toss. Like, Khalil Roundtree has got power for days. It's exactly the kind of fight that Pereira kind of needs to watch his P's and Q's on, because he's fought a couple of guys lately. Jiri Prochaska, he does everything wrong when it comes to striking. Absolutely everything. And you've got Jamal Hill, who's got power for days. He hits different. He's very, very good, but he's not the best technical striker in the world. And Pereira, because of that, had quite an easy night with him. When you look at the fight with Jan Blachowicz, from a technical standpoint, is a very technically sound. He's not fancy, he's not flashy, but he's very technically sound. And Pereira arguably had a few issues with Jan Blachowicz. I think that the Khalil Roundtree probably presents a few of the same problems because he's, from a technical perspective, he's extremely good and he's got vicious power. And I can't wait to see that one. I just cannot wait. And look, should Pereira win that fight, I think the time is right to then have DRICUS du Plessis go up a weight class and fight Pereira for the light heavyweight belt, because there's a lot of playing out to be done in the middleweight division, and there's a bit of playing out to be done in the light heavyweight division, because I think we should have Magomed Ankalaev fighting Jamal Hill or something, see what happens there. So, and I think in a fight between du Plessis and Pereira, I am never counting du Plessis out of any fight ever, because he's just so smart. He's got such a high fight IQ. His game planning, he is elite. He's elite level. And he's so strong. He's got a strength and a physicality that people find hard to deal with. Now, Pereira's got that strength and physicality on the feet. We haven't really seen much of it on the ground. Granted, he hasn't had to do it that much. But I do think it's... and again, du Plessis presents an awkwardness that people find hard to deal with, especially the high-level technical kickboxers. Because people often talk about, du Plessis, he gets hit at will, he gets hit too much. It's like, well, how come like Robert Whittaker and Adesanya weren't able to put him away then? He does get hit, I'll grant that, but he's able to roll his head, and he doesn't take clean hits that often. And that's the key thing to avoid. And that with his grappling, he's honestly, and it's his game planning. I've said it before, I'll say it again, his game planning is absolutely top notch. There's no fights on this week, so I'm not going to be doing any bets or anything like that. I might do some bets on the Formula One. Who knows? But I think the next one is Gilbert Burns versus Sean Brady, I want to say. And I do know for a fact that on the undercard, Trevor Peake is fighting somebody that I've never heard of, but I'm a huge fan of Trevor Peake. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. He's my favourite. He'll take that Bible, he will bash your head in with it. And I respect that. I respect that a lot. Big fan of Trevor Peake. And yeah, so that's my recap of UFC 305. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, like and subscribe. And if you didn't, I mean, like and subscribe anyway. It costs you nothing. Well, what? Come on, what are you doing here? Help me out. I'm not the one that messed up the water system. Don't blame me for that. Some other idiot did that. Anyway, till next time, keep the odds long and the bets terrible.